Forest Ranger Kyle Bennett had surveyed the remote Appalachian wilderness for 12 years, yet he'd never encountered fog this dense. As he pushed through the trees, something dark materialized, a wooden house standing alone among towering pines. His GPS showed nothing, no structure on any map, no property records. Inside, everything appeared frozen in time. A clock stopped at 3:47, 2 glasses on the table, one bearing a faint lipstick trace. When Kyle opened the leather-bound journal he found upstairs, the first line made his blood run cold. In 12 years as a forest ranger, he'd walked every marked trail in this corner of the Appalachians, but today felt different. The fog wrapped around the pines like something alive, muffling sound until even his footsteps seemed distant. Something about the landscape felt wrong. The trees grew denser here, older. Then he saw it. A dark shape emerging from the mist. A house, standing alone in the wilderness, surrounded by towering pines that seemed to guard it like sentinels. Kyle stopped walking. He pulled out his GPS again, zooming in on the map. Nothing, no structure marked, no property lines. He switched to his phone, checking satellite images. Still nothing. The house looked weathered but solid. 2 stories, wooden construction, with a small porch. Not a cabin. An actual home, built for living, standing where no home should exist. Kyle approached slowly. The front steps creaked under his weight. He called out, identifying himself as a ranger. No response, no movement from inside. The door handle turned easily, not locked. Kyle pushed it open and stepped inside. The smell hit him first. Old wood, cold ash, the mustiness of a place that hadn't felt fresh air in years. A living room stretched before him. A couch faced a stone fireplace. Firewood sat stacked beside it. The logs showed no dust, no cobwebs. On a small table near the window, 2 glasses stood side by side. One glass bore a faint lipstick mark on its rim. A clock hung on the wall above the fireplace, its hands pointed to 3:47. Kyle checked his watch. Nearly 5 in the afternoon now. He moved through the house methodically, photographing everything. He checked every room on the ground floor, everything placed with care, everything suggesting life had happened here, but no signs of struggle. Kyle pulled out his notebook and began documenting. He sketched the layout, noted the positions of objects. Near the window, he found a calendar still hanging on the wall. The date showed a month and year from 17 years ago. The afternoon light faded. Shadows stretched across the floor. He was about to head back outside when he heard it. A sound from upstairs, slow, rhythmic, like weight shifting on old floorboards. Kyle froze, his hand moving to his radio before remembering he had no signal. The sound came again, steady, deliberate. Something was moving up there. He crossed to the staircase. The steps rose into darkness. Kyle pulled out his flashlight and began climbing. Each step groaned under his boots. The creaking from above continued, unchanged. The upstairs hallway was narrow and cold. 3 doors, all closed. The creaking came from behind the one at the end. Kyle approached, his light cutting through the gloom. The door swung open easily. Inside, the room stood empty except for a single piece of furniture. A rocking chair, moving gently back and forth as if someone had just stood up and walked away. Kyle swept his flashlight around the space. No drafts, no open windows. The air hung perfectly still, yet the chair rocked, its motion smooth and regular. That's when he noticed the drawer. A small wooden box sat on the floor beside the chair. Kyle knelt down and lifted the lid fully open. Inside lay a leather-bound journal, its cover worn smooth. Pressed into the leather, someone had burned a single line of text. If you read this, it means we succeeded. Kyle carried the journal downstairs to the fading daylight. He opened to the first page and began reading. The handwriting was neat, controlled. The first entry was dated 18 years ago. The writer introduced himself as Thomas. He wrote about bringing his wife, Margaret, to this house, about their decision to leave everything behind. Thomas described building routines, creating peace. He wrote about Margaret's illness, how she grew weaker as the months passed. But the entries never felt desperate, they felt purposeful. Kyle read faster, the light outside fading to dusk. The entries grew shorter as months passed. Thomas wrote about quiet mornings, about holding Margaret's hand, about promises they'd made to each other long ago. The journal's final pages described Margaret's last weeks. Thomas wrote that she'd told him she was ready, that they'd discussed what would come next, that they'd made their choice together. The last entry was dated exactly 17 years ago, just 4 sentences written in the same steady hand. Today, Margaret told me she's ready. We're ready. Together. We promised each other that we would never let the other be alone. Kyle sat in the growing darkness, the journal heavy in his hands. He understood now. Thomas and Margaret had come here to disappear, together, refusing to let death separate them. Kyle returned to the bedroom. He opened the nightstand drawer fully this time. Inside lay 2 simple wedding rings, their gold worn thin, by years of wearing, placed side by side, touching. Beneath them, a small note written in the same hand as the journal. We promised each other that we would never let the other be alone. Kyle spent the next 2 days searching. He covered every inch of the property. He looked for graves, for any sign of what Thomas and Margaret had done. No burial sites, no trace of them anywhere. Kyle filed his report when he returned to the ranger station. He didn't mention the journal's contents. He didn't include the exact coordinates. Some secrets deserved protection. The forest had kept Thomas and Margaret's final wish for 17 years. Kyle decided it could keep it forever. And you, if you found a place like this, carrying a story like theirs, would you report it to the world, or would you let the forest keep its secrets?